Oh, it's time to lock in, agents. We've intercepted a transmission from That Game Rules, the worst gaming podcast ever recorded, where every week our mission is to break down a retro video game and all the memories that surround it. I'm your host, Double O Scuba. Thanks for listening this week. It's time to read you in on today's episode, Perfect Dark. The spiritual successor to Goldeneye, Perfect Dark ended up releasing at a tough time near the end of the N64, and with the PS2 right around the corner, it would take a lot to impress us teens back then. But after playing Goldeneye for years, how does the story of Joanna Dark stand against its predecessor? Can Perfect Dark capture the attention of a generation at the edge of the dawn of the internet? And how did Elvis get that American flag t-shirt? We got lots of questions. We've got aliens, random cheese, conspiracies, AI, clones, tons of 90s and early 2000s fun info to break down, and we'll do it all after we break down this show. Every week, before we get into the game, we like to set the scene. We're going to talk about some old movies. We'll talk news stories, commercials, tons of stuff from the same time period of this game. Then we're going to go over the game itself. We're going to go over the art, the history, the development, the characters, levels, music. Rare is just added again this week. We're going to check out some comments and reviews and a whole bunch of other stuff. Finally, we're going to give this game some awards, rank it among the greats, see if that game rules as hard as it did back in our school days. Because we knew back then, we knew what we were getting into. We knew this was the unofficial GoldenEye sequel.
Shut up and take my money!
There were tons of new weapons.
Shut up and take my money!
There's new multiplayer maps, but they also kept in our favorite GoldenEye maps.
Shut up and take my money!
And then, of course, all of it on that glorious N64 controller.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Email the show at thatgamerules@gmail.com. Tell me the games you want to talk about. What was your favorite N64 controller color? Did you load the rumble pack into your controller like Joanna Dark stocking a fresh clip in her pistol? And did you ever pause the game while your friend went to the bathroom and unplug their controller while they were gone? It's good times. Find me over on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're going to some updates here on the podcast. I'm probably going to let thatgamerules.com go as far as the website. This is all just an experiment. The website was an experiment for the year I did it, and now they want a bunch of money that I don't have. So I'll probably let that website go, and I'll probably update my Patreon to make sure I have all my episodes over there. I don't like pushing. Feel like the word Patreon just instantly is like money or people trying to get stuff. I have a Patreon. Nothing's paid for. It's all free. It's just another internet place for me to store episodes. So I'll probably update my Patreon and just get rid of the old website there. Whatever. I'm on the socials. You know where I'm at. Having fun over there. What's a website nowadays anyway? Another crazy week in the dungeon here. School's out. Summer's here, apparently, if you happen to hear any lawnmowers going by the window out there. And it's just, whenever I look outside, it's that Mario angry sun. It's staring at me. But what have I been up to? I just have no time for games that aren't on this podcast, but I keep my finger on the pulse. I want to play the new Yoshi game. There's a new indie game out from the devs who made Shovel Knight. I can't think of the name of that game, but that's getting great reviews. The new Star Fox reboot's coming. Donkey Kong 64 is on the Switch Online. There is so much to play, so many reasons to neglect my family. And also in 2 days, they just announced that Nintendo Direct. If you're in the future, a day or two, whenever that Direct comes, it's when we're all thinking that Ocarina of Time remake, reboot, whatever they do to it, that announcement's coming. Maybe some footage of that Zelda live action show. We'll see. But this week, I'm firing up that 64. I got the expansion pack. It's loaded in there. The cover's missing. The reset button's been stuck in the on position for about 20 years. It's my old school 64, but that's my baby. Grab your N64 controller with the tightest joystick that hasn't been annihilated from years of Mario Party. Let's talk some memories. Number one, did you guys know that Perfect Dark has a single player mode? My friends and we had no time for a campaign back then. Unless you needed to beat stuff to get like unlock weapons or maps in multiplayer. It was like the same thing with Mario Party single player. We would just burn through that to try to unlock all of our fun multiplayer stuff. They even had classic Goldeneye maps in this game, like the complex and the facility. I was 16 years old when this game came out. The perfect age to play 64, cuss at your friends, throwing controllers at each other in battles that just lasted until the sun came up. We had a pretty good, when in my teens, I mean, I was a loner up until my teenage years, and I managed to get some friends, a pretty big group stomping around the trailer park back in the day there with nothing to do. So we needed those 4 controller ports on the 64, and we still had people waiting to play their turn. As far as this game, it was the perfect sequel. We all loved GoldenEye, and we didn't care about James Bond. Nobody cared about the IP. GoldenEye sold and was great because it was just a great game, the first of its kind. It didn't sell. Nobody cared about, maybe a few, but I didn't even know these characters' names. I didn't recognize anybody. I saw GoldenEye in the theater with my dad. I think probably, before the game, but even then I wasn't making those connections. Nobody cared about James Bond. Just give us new characters, new stories. Just give us that same engine, same gameplay. And now we've got new weapons, new maps, and just sim after sim to play with, customize. And of course, it's Rare, so they're bringing the silly, they're bringing the cheats and codes, they're bringing the cheese. So it's time to lock and load this episode. Let's head back to the year 2000 for an alien-filled time warp.
Have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Welcome back to the year 2000. Hopefully you updated those computers. It's 2000. You got the N64 and the PS1. They're giving all us teens a reason to stay up late at night. And thanks to this week's fake sponsor, we had the fuel for all those all-nighters. I'm talking about Jolt Cola. Before the endless sea of energy drinks lining the cooler shelves nowadays, before fancy soda waters, we're predating Code Red, Game Fuel, and even the popular Surge retro stuff from back in the day. Jolt Cola was the OG. It was there to teach us kids what a sugar crash could really feel like. With a slogan like, quote, all the sugar and twice the caffeine, you could get an idea of the mindset of the 90s. We didn't care about health. We wanted all the sugar you could pack in there. The OG formula contains 71 milligrams of caffeine, but it's since been re-released. The new modern formula has 200 milligrams of caffeine. I think that's about the same as like a Red Bull or something. Just all those chemicals they're putting in those drinks nowadays give it that nice smooth chemical draw. If you're wondering, I always thought it tasted like RC Cola. So there you go. 2000, new millennium, Y2K is over, everything's still here. You can go log into AOL, go download that Spice Girls picture, go play some SimCity. Computers and the internet are here to stay, but Hollywood, it's still cranking out movies for us to go ignore our lives and go enjoy those.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Oh, aliens, so hot right now. Before society would move on to become obsessed with zombie lore in the 2000s, sci-fi and alien movies were just all over the place in the 90s. With the big one, Independence Day, that inspired a little 10-year-old Scuba to go make his own models out of balsa wood and blow them up with some Thundercats in an attempt to recreate scenes from the movie. I actually did that, and it was my dad was doing it with me. We were down south blowing stuff up. We had to go down. You could get the good fireworks down there. Well, they're legal everywhere now, but we had the camcorder too, the one you would stick the whole VCR or the whole VHS tape, slap that thing in there, smack it close, and recording videos of me just blowing stuff up. So thank you, Independence Day. But I just love the old school movie magic when it comes to making models and stuff, the stuff that doesn't exist nowadays. But Will Smith, he trades in his fighter jet suit from that movie for a black suit and some Ray-Bans, teams up with Tommy Lee Jones in another creature feature, Men in Black. At one point, Will Smith was like a guaranteed summer blockbuster win if you put him in a movie, up until he decided to do Wild Wild West, which is a really weird movie. It was a weird decision. The movie, I like it because I like bad movies. I think that's a pretty bad movie. It's got your classic stuff. We got jokes about cross-dressing, jokes about slavery, jokes about handicapped people in wheelchairs, and then a giant robot spider. So it's a movie. And Will Smith, I love Fresh Prince, Independence Day, Men in Black, all these things. But it's like I can't even watch him now. It wasn't so much the Oscars slap as it's just his weird relationships, his weird kids. I know it's all like his personal stuff, but he just seems like, I don't know. I just don't really dig him anymore. But other sci-fi movies, we got Species, Stargate, Starship Troopers, Mars Attacks, all leading up to the best sci-fi movie of the 90s, Galaxy Quest. It's also the best Star Trek movie ever made. By Grab Thar's Hammer, I Will Avenge You. Let's talk about some TV shows, because the alien action continues at home. Open up that TV guide, or maybe you find the TV guide in the newspaper, or you head over to that scrolling channel lineup that had the TV guide scrolling up, and that every time you went on that channel, the TV guide to look for the channel you wanted to see what was on, it had just passed, so you had to wait for the whole thing to scroll again, and then like the cat would distract you, and then that channel was gone again, and then you got to sit there, wait for the whole thing to scroll again. Anyway, technology back then. But we're talking about possibly the best sci-fi show of the 90s. Talking about the X-Files, I want to believe, just like the rest of you guys, FBI special agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully investigate unsolved, unexplained cases known as the X-Files. David Duchovny, known mostly for his role as the receptionist boyfriend in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and Gillian Anderson, famous for her voicing role, voicing the character of Dana Scully in an episode of The Simpsons. The actors, they were actually quite opposite of their TV personas, with David being a skeptic of extraterrestrial life, while Gillian is like a firm believer. I had 218 episodes from 93 all the way up to 2018. That's like, I don't know, movies. They had some movies in there as well, even out in the theater and stuff, but featuring aliens, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, time travel, spontaneous combustion, government cover-ups, just all sorts of crazy conspiracy stuff. Gillian herself, she took inspiration for Scully from Clarice from Silence of the Lambs, among other female figures, but her character, Agent Scully, would go on to create the Scully effect, inspiring women and young girls to join law enforcement and medicine based on their admiration of the show, including our heroine today, Joanna Dark herself, was heavily inspired from Dana Scully. Aliens, they were hype for a minute, like toys and everything. I mean, I guess at the time, maybe even South Park helped with all those iconic alien episodes they had.
Will you stop going on about your little brother? I know it was just a dream, I know I didn't have an anal probe, and I know that I am not under alien control.
I love to sing about the moon and the June and the spring. I love to sing about a sky of blue or a T-42.
What the hell was that? He is under alien control. That thing in his butt is linked up to the visitor. Son of a bitch.
But they were all over, like Pogs, Trapper Keepers. You had those fuzzy glow-in-the-dark posters. We had those holographic reflective stickers, all featuring that gray or green alien face. I was drawing aliens in school, drawing them next to those S things you used to draw, where you draw the 3 lines. It's like a Sketcher logo. You do 3 lines, and then under that 3 lines, and you connect them, it makes an S. We were all drawing that in school for some reason over and over. And I remember at this time, this alien hype, specifically at the carnival, because we'd go to the carnival every year around here, and it was all aliens, alien stuffed animals. You couldn't win on their crappy games, but a ton of just big multicolored alien inflatables. Everybody was walking around with one of those, and just don't even get me started on carnivals and fairs. It's just another thing from our childhood that sucks now. And Carnival, $80, they got like $80 wristbands now, $50, $60, $70, $80 wristbands, number one. Number two, The wristbands are only good until 4 p.m. on like the weekends on your busy days, so you don't even get an all-day wristband. Then if you want to ride rides, you have to do per tickets. Their tickets are like $5 a piece, and then they want 6 of them to ride a freaking Ferris wheel. So now you're paying $20 or something for 3 minutes on a Ferris wheel. Maybe you're paying like Cedar Point Disney prices now. They got the refillable fry buckets that are about the size of a souffle cup now. Used to be a bucket and you get your refill on the fry. I can deal with carnies, and I can deal with paying a little more, losing at the games and all those kind of things. We're all trying to kind of relive our childhoods through our children, maybe, as far as taking them to that. But it's just offensive now. It's offensive. You've outpriced me from your carnivals. Go to the 4-H fair. Go to your local 4-H fairs instead. Go pet the goats. Go look at the chickens. Check out the derby races. But man, these 3-day carnivals that row into town here and just, anyway, I said I'd not, forget it all. It's hot outside. We don't want to go to the carnival anyway. Let's go back in the dark basement to talk about video games. The dawn of the new millennium. What else was that old rental shelf? What was on there sitting on that shelf next to Perfect Dark? We've got tons of big boy games now. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. We got Majora's Mask, Pokemon Stadium. Maybe those aren't big kid games. But we got Final Fantasy VI, Metal Gear Solid, Paper Mario, Banjo-Tooie, Spyro Year of the Dragon. I also saw a Spyro remake coming on the Switch soon. Shout out to Spyro. I love Spyro. Hopefully he gets an episode. I've got it. We got Rainbow Six. And then we got the big one everybody talks about along with Perfect Dark. It's spelled Duesex, and I've heard about Deus Ex. I've heard a bunch of people pronounce it essentially Deus Ex, and that just sounds like the type of thing, like, you know, a businessman would go home on his lunch break maybe to have with his wife. So I've never played that game. But over on the PC, we had Diablo 2. We got The Sims. We got a lot of sim action in this game. You had Ages of Empire 2, Command and Conquer, Red Alert. But take a listen to this commercial for Perfect Dark from the year 2000.
It's 2023. An ancient war is being fought under the sea. The president is about to be cloned, and it's your job to save the world. So, what are you going to wear to work? From the team who brought you Goldeneye for N64, meet Special Agent Joanna Dark in Perfect Dark. Rated M for mature.
Couple of fun dates from that year. In April, they sold their 100 millionth Game Boy. And then some Sega news here. In February, Sega had their first annual Dreamcast Championships featuring Sonic Adventures. And it's got probably the last. They had the first and last annual Dreamcast Championships. And then in September, Sega.com launches SegaNet, another thing that probably lasted a month that I never heard of. But we chose Perfect Dark. It wasn't the Goldeneye sequel we needed, but it was the one we deserved. Let's get into it.
Now, I know you love video games, and I asked the clerk which is the one every boy wants. You got me. Oh, yeah.
For the vitals on this baby, Perfect Dark 2000, first-person shooter game developed, published by Rare for the N64, the first game of the Perfect Dark series. It follows Joanna Dark, an agent of the Carrington Institute Research Center, as she attempts to stop an extraterrestrial conspiracy by rival corporation DataDyne. We are getting the mood started for our crazy story that they have in this game. It's all over the place. The box art itself, Perfect Dark, features a different box art for each regional release. We had Rare's art director, Kev Bayless. He created the NA and European artworks in one day because Rare needed it now, right now, like yesterday. It's like those TPS reports in Office Space. If you could just get that Perfect Dark box art on my desk by lunch, that would be great. He then created a more suitable Joanna Dark model for the European version and all the promotional material after that. For the Japanese release, they had a completely different image. They originally considered releasing the game under the title Ekudakuro, which stands for Red and Black, because apparently Perfect Dark itself does not translate well into Japanese. and that title was considered sufficiently edgy, I guess, red and black. But the game was ultimately released as a bunch of symbols that read Parfukatu Daku, which is a transliteration. It's Perfect Dark in Japanese, I think. There's a special shout out from me to that logo dissolve. It's not the box art, but I'm throwing it in here. At the beginning of the game, you boot that baby up, and that N64 logo will change into the game itself. Rare does that in like all of them. I love a good logo dissolve, and this one goes right into that Perfect Dark logo. It's almost as good as Conquer, just taking a chainsaw to that 64 logo in his game. Let's talk history. Here's some history. Here's some history for your ears right now. Because you can't really talk Perfect Dark without talking Goldeneye, which I'll be mentioning a lot today. I just like that. Who doesn't love the Goldeneye pause music? We're going to hear some more of that. I was 13 when Goldeneye came out. 13. Playing good. Is there a better? I was born in 84. If you were, it's like, maybe that's why I'm a nut for video games. It tracks so perfectly where it's like the NES was like from birth to 8 years old. Then you get the Super Nintendo and Sega from 8 to 12. Then you get the 64. Like it was just kind of perfect. So it hooked me for sure. So let's get into the development of a sequel, but not a sequel. It was originally directed by Martin Hollis as a spiritual successor to Goldeneye. That was out in 1997, but there was some shakeup during development. Half the team would end up moving on, but from that drama comes one of the best games on the N64. Sometimes life finds a way. Shortly after Goldeneye was released, Rare was planning to work on a game based on the film Tomorrow Never Dies, but the company was outbid by Electronic Arts, of all companies. And that as far as them, Electronic Arts, they would go on to release their own video game adaptation in 1999. Tomorrow Never Dies. Did anybody play that on the old 64?
I bet my Wookiees.
I mean, we knew Perfect Dark was the sequel we were looking for, but as far as being outbid, did not upset the developers. They were kind of done with the 007 franchise. They felt like they spent too much time immersed in the James Bond universe. Some of the working titles for this new game before we landed on Perfect Dark was Covert Ops, and eventually once they decided on their sci-fi theme, the title was Alien Intelligence, but Perfect Dark was decided on. From what I read / listened to and half researched, that name, they took just like 30 cool sounding words and like put them on a board and then would pick two and they would just put them next to each other. And then they would just list these two words next to each other on the board. And then after like 2 or 3 days, if they didn't erase it because they didn't like it, they thought it would be good. And I think that's where they ended up with Perfect Dark, where it kind of sounds good, but also kind of weird. The game's sci-fi setting was chosen due to the developers' interest in the genre. They were fans. The X-File TV series inspired that gray alien character and the premise of aliens being investigated. Other influences on the setting, theme, and plot include conspiracy theories and works such as the Ghost in the Shell manga, Elektra comic books, films like Blade Runner and Judge Dredd and Fifth Element, and the writing of author Philip K. Dick. I mean, I pick up some Fifth Element vibes as well, for sure. One of my favorite sci-fi movies, right up there with Galaxy Quest. Although the game features a new fictional universe, it was still envisioned as a spy shooter like GoldenEye. The developers' desires to expand upon its stealth mechanics, along with their admiration for the '98 stealth game Metal Gear Solid, led to the creation of gadgets such as the Cam Spy and the Data Uplink device. The game also contains more advanced lighting than GoldenEye. Lights can be shot out. The gunfire illuminates the rooms. The player can use infrared and night vision goggles. It's all so common nowadays, but some of those like shooting out a light was crazy. It was just such a crazy feature back in the day, among some others I'll mention later in the episode. Also, the layout of the Air Force One level was inspired by the 1997 film of the same name, Air Force One, with President Harrison Ford, because it was the only reference material the team had. So they just completely copied everything they could from that movie. And then in the game's counter-operative mode, the idea that the opposing player can take control of another opponent at any time was inspired, of course, by the 1999 film The Matrix, in which those agents, take the body of any person in the Matrix and fight them in that simulated reality. As far as the production of this game, when production started, they upgraded that Goldeneye game engine with the new features and those enhancements such as the real-time lighting and support for bigger environments and more textures. According to Rare, only 30% of the original engine remained, providing that basic frame rate to construct levels and animate characters. They had a new movement system that allowed you to fall off edges that you couldn't do before. You still can't jump, but now you can at least kind of go down some ledges. And they had some other incremental improvements, including better shattering glass effects, which would allow the players to shoot out objects such as bottles of wine, and then the inclusion of computer-controlled bots in multiplayer matches. Sound-wise, they had death cries. They had more elaborate gore effects, which allow gunshots to disperse and stain enemies' blood onto nearby walls and objects. That was also added. Originally, Hollis hoped the difference between light and dark would be like a significant feature of the gameplay. You see that in a lot of games nowadays. You see that in a lot of horror games nowadays, just walking around with a cell phone out or a flashlight. In this case, they wanted a flashlight or a torch that was actually implemented by a software engineer. He had been responsible for much of the multiplayer mode of Goldeneye, Steve Ellis, but it was ultimately not included, that flashlight feature in the game, due to the limitations of the N64 hardware.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Many of the game's opponents were based on members of the development team, which Rare is kind of famous for. They also performed the motion capture required for their animation, but as developers kept adding features, the game ended up using all the extra memory on their debug consoles, became too big to fit in the N64's standard 4 megabytes of random access memory. That's RAM. That's what RAM stands for. Because the developers were unable to optimize it, they made use of the N64 expansion pack, which doubled that RAM from 4 megabytes to 8 megabytes. But that expansion pack, it sure did disappoint a lot of gamers when they realized they needed that thing. If you rented a game, they put it on the box, they tried to make you know, but the PC players, they're used to that kind of crap, like not having the right specs to run a game. But at least for the 64, the pack went into the console. They didn't start to grow a tower like those old Sega systems. It wasn't like a 32X and then another cart on top. You can stack that. That Sega Power Tower goes pretty high. But it is one of the 3 titles in the 64 library that the expansion pack is required to play the game. Those others being Majora's Mask and Rare's own Donkey Kong 64. However, unlike those two, Perfect Dark can still run without the expansion pack, but the machine will only process 35% of the internal data. And that's all explained on the box and instruction. It essentially plays like a demo version. You have no multiplayer. You don't have any campaign. You have some multiplayer, but it's a pretty watered down version. For the release, Perfect Dark was heavily featured in video game magazines, with Nintendo Official Magazine predicting that it would be the best shooting game this century. So which one? Are we saying 2000 and above or 2000 and below for this century? Rare also released a Game Boy Color counterpart titled Perfect Dark, which I think is an overhead, old school Metal Gear type of game. Connecting the two games using the transfer pack allows players to alternately unlock certain cheats. So you can stick that. If you got that Game Boy Color, you got some access to some free cheats. Let's get into the music. First, let's talk about that pause music. Had a lot of debates online this week talking about Perfect Dark. There was a lot more love coming out of that Perfect Dark post I made this week than I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot of GoldenEye's better and this kind of stuff. And while I believe GoldenEye is more iconic and I played GoldenEye a lot more, I think Perfect Dark is the better game. I don't know how you can argue that it isn't. It improved upon every single thing. The only thing that it's bad about it is it's not the first like GoldenEye was. We'll talk more about that later. Let's take a listen to this pause music. Here's GoldenEye's again. Just because we had a lot of people arguing then on which pause music was better. So here's Goldeneye. And they actually sound very similar. So here is, I'll pause this one. I'll pause the pause, and I'll start the pause of the other pause. So here is Perfect Dark's pause. So it sounds pretty similar. I like them both. You can tell the music's the same from these guys. Perfect Dark soundtrack is fire, with numerous orchestrated versions of the soundtrack. The composers are names I can pronounce better than most of the episodes I do. We got Grant Kirkhope. We got, what is that? Grammy? Mr. or Mrs. Norgate. And we got David Clinic. So two of the game's composers, Kirkhope and Norgate, had previously composed Goldeneye, as well as Rare's 1994 critically acclaimed arcade fighting game, Killer Instinct. The soundtrack was primarily composed by Kirkhope. Writing sci-fi music was a new and enjoyable experience for Kirkhope, as he had mainly worked on Banjo-Kazooie at the time. Quite a difference in your sounds and music between a game like Perfect Dark and Banjo. He took inspiration from Blade Runner and the whistling sound of the X-Files theme song. I wonder how many times I can get away with playing this, YouTube. There's that whistle. The game supports 16:9 widescreen and Dolby Surround, so it's for the time, that's top of the line. And it features voice acting for all in-game dialogue and cutscenes. Nintendo wanted an American actress to voice Joanna Dark, but the role ultimately went to British composer Eveline Fisher. Because Perfect Dark features more than 45 minutes of voice cutscenes, the game was shipped in a 32 megabyte cartridge. I like the British voice. I like Eveline, whatever she's doing, bringing Joanna to life. It captures that. You know, that 007 vibe still. It's something about a British accent makes you think spy a little bit more than us Americans and our dumb. What is he going to have, like a Minnesota accent? Oh, we're from Minnesota, and I played a perfect... anyway, so those sound effects, those emotes, they're all so great in this game, including the button I can't help but keep pushing, that Wilhelm scream. It doesn't, I'm not sure if that's in this game or not, but the sound effects of these guys, these bad guys, when you're shooting them, they're begging for their lives. They're screaming so dramatically. It's fun for me. So on top of some secret cheese pieces we'll get to, the game has some of the best, cheesiest dialogue around as well. And we weren't used to that voice acting on the Nintendo. We had, besides Joanna, we had Elvis. He had great voice acting too. He sounded like a weird little Yoda type of guy.
I said, seagulls, stop it now.
So here's a little more music, and then we're going to get straight into the game chat. Very ominous. Let's get into the characters here. We've got Joanna Dark herself.
Well, excuse me, princess.
You know she's no princess. We got Jonathan Steinberg, originally supposed to be Joanna's brother, Jonathan Dark, in some early renditions of the game. We've got Daniel Carrington. He's running that Carrington Institute. Cassandra DeVries, bad lady. Trent Easton, bad guy. We got the Mayans, the aliens, specifically Elvis representing those Mayans. We got the Skadar, the bad aliens, and Mr. Blonde himself, the Skadar guy in disguise, I guess.
You son of a bitch.
There's tons of those Mr. Blondes around. You got the Skadar King, although I like to think of her as a queen. I don't know, when it comes to big aliens and stuff, you always think it's a queen, right? Not a king. But then we got Dr. Carroll, the AI laptop guy, and the U.S. president makes an appearance as well. So let's talk about these controls. We're playing that 64 controller. I'm playing the 64 controller. There's PC ports and all sorts of stuff out there. But as soon as they released that 64 online, and I could get those wireless 64 controllers with again, joysticks that weren't beaten to death by years of Mario Party, I was all about that and never realized how much hate these controllers get until I started, doing a show like this. People hate the 64 controllers. I don't mind them. I like it. I know I never used my, left prong. It's only the joystick and your right buttons, but lucky for you, they got auto aim back in this game, but you've got the secondary weapons as well. You push B and you've got a whole nother use for your gun there, on top of tons of other gadgets and tech. You got the camera for like guided missiles. You got that cam spy. We're doing a lot of joystick work. And it's the same controls as Goldeneye. You're strafing. It takes a second to get back into if you play some double joystick games, but after a minute, I don't know if it's just from years of Golden and stuff and back in the day, I'm used to those C buttons. It's a lot of strafing. In this game, just like Goldeneye, strafing, you move faster, so you're usually just running at a lot of angles. As far as the story, it's the future, also the past, because the year is 2023, and we'll just kind of go over the story as we go through the campaign. I'm still not sure what the hell is going on. It's got more twists and turns than a Christopher Nolan movie. The gameplay, it's added so much. We got so much. It's hard for me to break apart one player, two player, the multiplayer. What do I want to talk? I'm going to end up missing a bunch about this game. I'm going to be all over the place talking about it, but it's just going to be a perfect dark love episode, as they usually always are. So we got the campaign mode. It's divided into 9 missions. Each of those is 1 to 3 levels each, but then it's got 4 bonus missions known as special assignments that are unlocked, and those aren't just another mission. They do some crazy, they add to the story in some of those. They serve as they're from the game you already played. They're like mid-story levels that explain certain events involving other characters that you didn't really see, specifically Elvis.
I said, seagulls, stop it now.
And Mr. Blonde.
You son of a bitch.
So we've got a range of multiplayer options, including a co-op mode and your traditional deathmatch settings. But now we've got computer-controlled bots. Those scenarios range from the traditional deathmatch, where, of course, you just score points by killing opponents. But then you've got your classics, too. You got Capture the Flag. You got King of the Hill. For the solo missions, that's the main mode of the game. The dual bonus mission is exclusive to that mode. And then if the player completes missions on certain difficulties, this is how you're going to unlock your cheats. Those difficulty levels, I'm going to talk about those in a second. But it's like you got your 3 difficulty levels, and it's like playing 3 different games compared to what they add, how much they add to the game and the quests and stuff. You've also got a combat simulator. Perfect Dark's multiplayer mode, so you can get your 4 players, but then you can compete with each other, or you can add up to 8 simulants, those CPU bots, and we can change those simulants to make some insane matches. We'll talk about in my multiplayer section, but just that concept itself, you go from just playing against your 4 players. Now you can team up with CPUs, you can team up against the CPUs while playing multiplayer. But also to multiplayer, you've got cooperative. So in this mode, you can do your similar missions, but now you've got a second player to play with. You can use AI sims, or you can use a human player. And then on top of that, you got counter-operative. And that's a versus mode. That's like the Matrix one. That's where one player morphs into the NPC bad guys to constantly try and stop Joanna from completing the mission. And that's just right there, I could stop the episode. It adds so much. It's not just one player campaign and then a multiplayer. You mix all these up to where you can co-op through one player. You can do one player multiplayer. That's what I did a lot. And I mean that I would just be playing by myself, but I would go into Combat Simulator simulator. I can't say that word today. Simulator, because simulants. And I would just make a bunch of those guys. You can change. I'll talk about those later. The simulants. You can change those into all sorts of weird stuff. And where was I? Okay, so let's talk the difficulty levels. Like I was saying, it's like playing 3 different games.
Hey, listen!
So you've got 4 difficulty settings, with the 4th one being perfect dark, and that's like the hardest one to get. But that's more of like a sandbox. That difficulty, once you unlock that, you can set the health and damage and the accuracy of the enemies before even starting any mission. But the main ones, so you start out on Agent. That's the easiest. Enemy guards are weaker. They're inaccurate. They inflict low damage. All those things you would kind of expect out of like an easy setting, but it's the mission objectives that they change. You've got like 2 or 3 on Agent versus like 5 or 6 on Special Agent, and it really changes the whole level itself. So you got Special Agent, that's your normal difficulty. Of course, the enemies are going to be a bit more intense, but it's those objectives you've got to complete now that changes the story. In Agent, you'll be doing stuff where doors are already unlocked, but in Special Agent, you've got to unlock those. You've got to plant bombs. You have to do so much more spy agent infiltrating stuff, all the way up to perfect agent. That's the hardest. Enemies are at their most dangerous and deadly. You've got the most objectives, but on top of that, weapon pickups are like the least. Like they increase the least amount of ammo. And shields are gone. Shields are non-existent, and your auto aim gets tuned down. So perfect agent, that's for you hardcore guys. And like I said, I already mentioned the perfect dark difficulty setting as well. So this is your overall everything you can do in this game as far as modes and difficulty levels. All of this stuff's going to unlock your cheats and codes, but it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of this game, the real thing that really sets it off from Goldeneye itself, and I'm not talking about those weapons.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
All right, so I'm going to go down the weapons here as you play them in the shooting range, which is another thing I'll talk about, the whole other thing. You can just go to the shooting range. So we've got some pistols. You've got the Falcon 2. You can get that silent scope or regular, and your secondary there is the pistol whip, which is always fun. You just whack people with your pistol. We got the MagSec 4, another pistol that'll turn into a 3-round burst. I will try to kind of blow through these. There's a lot, and we'll hit the highlights. You got the Mauler. That's an alien weapon. I like the reload animations on all the alien weapons. And then you get just new reload animations compared to Goldeneye for this entire game. That's some of the best little nuggets is these reload animations, the sounds these things are making, your dual wielding, all that stuff. So your Mauler, your secondary there is a charged up shot. You got your Phoenix, another alien pistol. This one you can transfer to explosive shells. It also has classic guns. A lot of your old Goldeneye guns are in this game as well. But you've got the Cyclone. Now we're getting into some big stuff. That's the submachine gun. And that secondary is kind of lame. It just unloads your full magazine, which is nothing you're really trying to do. It's hard to judge some of these weapons based on having a better primary, a better secondary, or just a better reload animation that I really like, or maybe the sound of it, the look of it, all the aesthetic, all these things come into play with how you want to take out all these aliens and bad guys. Next up is the Callisto. That's an alien gun. That's got a rapid fire primary, and then it's got high impact shells for your secondary, which I think just inflict more damage. We got the RCP-120. That's an auto fire. And then now we're getting kind of creative here. The secondary there is a cloak. So it turns you invisible, and then as you cloak, it takes ammo away like a timer. So that's cool there. You got the laptop gun. I won't even save the best for last. That laptop gun, everybody loves it. You pick up a laptop, transforms into a rapid fire gun, or you can secondary it, throw it. It can stick to a wall, become a sentry. It is extremely OP in multiplayer. We've got the Dragon. That's a favorite of everybody's. An assault rifle, which is a term I'm using. It's a video game term they're labeled as assault rifles, but I feel like gun people yell at me and tell me there's no such thing as an assault rifle. Like, I know an AR does not stand for assault rifle. I know things, but like I said, us video game nerds, we're just like you gun nerds. So if I get some of your terminology wrong here, I apologize. But the assault rifle is the best name I can think of for the Dragon. And then that cool secondary is the proximity self-destruct. So it throws the gun, and then anybody that walks near it, it's a bomb now. So you can trick people in multiplayer, unless the multiplayer people have the target locator tricks and stuff like that. Next up, K7 Avenger, another assault rifle. Oh, that's it. This one has the threat detector. So your secondary here will warn you about things like mines or that laptop gun sentry or traps or things like that. We got the AR-34. You're either firing that guy or your secondary is using a scope for a little more zooming in. The Super Dragon, another assault rifle, but this secondary's into a grenade launcher for just a good old time. We got the classic shotgun, one of my favorites, just any game. I don't know if it's Duke Nukem, Doom, all these old shooters, but I love me a shotgun. And this one, you pump to shoot, but your secondary is your double shot, your double blast, or your zombie land double tap, if you want to go that route. We've also got the Reaper. That's a Gatling gun. I don't think it's Alien, one of the Alien ones, but it sure does look like it. It takes a minute to get going. It needs to charge up and spin, almost like a minigun, which I also love those as well. And then the secondary is the Grinder. It's just no ammo. You just run up to them and shred them with this spinning gun thing. We've got a classic sniper rifle, but it is nothing like the Farsight XR20. That's right up there with the laptop gun of everyone's favorite. That's the Alien. It's a one-shot kill when you fire, but the secondary is the shooting through walls. You can see it does a cool green-red kind of, you can zoom through walls, find people, and on top of that, shoot them through the walls, and they're gone. That's another one that's like, if you're playing with the Farsight or the laptop gun on multiplayer, I'm not sure how far you get playing with some of the OP stuff. I was more of a proximity mine kind of guy, as you'll find out. We've also got the Devastator. That's a grenade launcher, which is fun, but then its secondary is a sticky bomb, so it will stick the grenade right to the wall. And the rocket launcher, that's classic, and I would breeze past it, except its secondary is the targeted rocket. So you can target enemies, not as good as the Slayer, which is the Alien rocket launcher, but their secondary is the fly-by-wire rocket. When you fire that guy, your first-person view now is the missile, and now you get to control it, flying at guys. It doesn't control very well at all, but is fun in multiplayer. A couple other, you got your combat knife, which you stabby, but also you can throw a poison knife with that. Your crossbow is kind of lame, but its secondary is an instant kill, and it's silent. It's like a crossbow on your arm, like a Predator type of thing, which is also, you have a wrist laser. That's kind of like more 007 Predator type of stuff there as well. You've got a tranquilizer dart. Got some classic stuff. You got the grenade is fine, except when you go to secondary on your grenade, it turns into proximity pinball. And that thing just bounces around until it finds something that moves to blow up. And that's a fun one in multiplayer as well. It's all fun in multiplayer to cause chaos like that. We've got the timed mine, the proximity mine, and the remote mine. All kind of how like they sound. Some of the secondary on those are threat detectors. And then you got your remote mine where you lay it and your secondary is to detonate it. But it's fun gadgets, fun weapons. Nothing on here is terrible. It's always fun to pick up, see what your secondary is. I guess depending, it's all different between your campaign and your multiplayer. But those are the weapons. Hopefully I just keep talking about those as the episode goes. We're going to get into the levels because like the Rug and Big Lebowski, it's the hub world here that really pulls this game together. Just like Mario 64 introduced that hub castle to give us a free play, kind of an open world feeling while still being a linear game. Perfect Dark gives us the Carrington Institute, complete with a firing range to practice all those amazing weapons. And we'll see if I can keep my gameplay straight here going through some of these campaigns. These missions can be pretty vague on the details, but the campaign, this was like the first time, might have been the first time I ever played it. I know I played it some, but like I said, we were just going for cheats and codes. So a lot of this was a surprise to me. I knew all the alien stuff. I knew the story essentially, but I love going back to the cheesy 90s dialogue, and it reminds me of all these movies I've already talked about. So let's start out with the DataDyne Central Defection. When it came to the developers designing these levels, this one is a big skyscraper, corporate kind of building, and they designed these kind of like real buildings on purpose. They did the same thing in Goldeneye. It's why you have spots in like the complex and facility. They're like dead ends or rooms that do nothing. They wanted that kind of feeling with empty rooms to just feel like real buildings. It's no back rooms. I saw that movie recently. It's no back rooms for sure. You'll be running around for miles. So we got the DataDyne headquarters, a towering skyscraper in the heart of downtown. It's got all these offices, glass doors. It's got, at one point, so this is 3 levels as far as this campaign. You're going to do a defection, you're going to do some investigating, and then you're going to do some extraction because you got to run out of here. You get into this big building. You got to go find Dr. Carroll being held in the underground there. And one of the cool things there is it's got like a radioactive area Joanna can't go into. So you got to release your cam spy. Now you're flying around using your joystick and your little spy cam there. But it turns out Dr. Carroll is, here's your first twist, he's a floating AI Nintendo DS looking thing, or like one of those Game Boys when you had the fold up speaker screen opened up. He's like a flying weird AI laptop thing. So you get him, and it's time to bust out of this building. And let me just say, my kids love this game, and they're like 14 now and 12, and they're older now. But a few years ago, when I had this thing hooked up on my big tube in the basement, they loved playing it. This level, whether campaign or multiplayer, just shooting the crap out of each other. I would just hear them giggling like crazy. It was like the first time they've, I don't know, done that kind of game, I guess. So it's a fun memory for me. And even to this day, my kid still, my older one, he still talks about Perfect Dark. So, to each their own. Perfect Dark is his Goldeneye, I guess. So the extraction part of this level, you save the laptop, save the world. You just got to make sure that the laptop actually gets in the elevator with you when you're trying to leave. He's flying all over the place, and there's friendly fire. It's kind of an escort mission, I guess. You're getting this Dr. Carroll guy free and safe. But we'll move out of the big skyscraper. Very die-hard feeling. Very, what is it, Nakatomi Towers kind of feeling there. But that mission's done. Another fan favorite here is the Carrington Villa, and this is just a one single level. So Carrington is now being held hostage. He's in his private villa. It's under siege. The Institute has sent in a negotiator as part of the rescue effort. And I say that because on Secret Agent, it's weird. You'll play this if you play Agent and whatever the second difficulty. You're Joanna taking out snipers, taking out bad guys. But if you play Perfect Agent mode, then you're actually the negotiator going undercover in hopes of storming and reclaiming the villa. So you play an actual even different person. So like I said, it's like a different game. Some of the highlights from this level, besides taking out all the snipers is fun, is the glass bottles. And it sounds dumb for me to say it. There's a part in the basement. It's got a bunch of shelves and a bunch of glass bottles. And you can shoot them. And that's it. And they explode. And that was such a big deal back then, to the point where there's a little Easter egg if you shoot all the bottles out. I think the little guy in your headphones like, quit playing around. What are you doing? But that's exactly what we were doing. Having fun, new stuff. I still remember the bullet holes in Goldeneye, when those stuck in the wall. That was mind-blowing. Like just the smallest little things. And that was the fun part of the progression of gaming back then as kids. And what's lame about games now is you would have all those individual things. Like the first time you could break a window with a bullet, you would remember. And then the next up from there is that the glass actually stays on the floor. And then you'd remember that. And then next time it would be shadow, or you would see like the trees move in the wind. It was just all this progression of video games and technology to the point now where we are, where everything's great and looks great. And what does it all matter anymore? On to the next level, Chicago. That's a stealth level. And that is very one of the best looking. I mean, it's small, but it's cyberpunk looking. It's Blade Runner looking. You're in an actual city doing a bunch of like actual spy stuff too. You're dressed like a normal citizen, so like you can kind of sneak by people. You're kind of like a bystander. They won't bother you unless you pull a gun out and stuff. So you can try to punch out the guys to kind of be a little more stealthy about it. As soon as you bust your gun out, things get kind of crazy with all those guys running around. But you're going to make it into the G5 building, and that's where you're going to hijack some robots. You're going to do more spy stuff. You have to deactivate laser walls. You got to send in your spy cam to eavesdrop on the conversation. And things are heating up with the enemies because now the guards have cloaks. The guards have shields. If you're shooting, the guards will run and try to set off an alarm. Now you've got a whole bunch more guards at you. But you listen in on that conversation. You send in your little spy cam, and you learn some things are getting weird. Things are getting a little space-like because now we moved on to Area 51. Things are getting a little intergalactic. Area 51, too, it's not just like a boring desert theme. They use really good colors. There's structures around. It's more, even like Shadows of the Empire was kind of vague and bland when I compare it to Perfect Dark and some of their levels. But we're in Area 51. It's time to rescue our alien buddy. And I got a clip of an unused cutscene with the actual alien interview that they had in Area 51.
Whistling Dixie, I want this sent to Area 51 for study.
But sir, that's where we're building the fake moon landing set.
Then we'll have to really land on the moon. Invent NASA and tell them to get off their fannies. If you come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. If you're here to make war, we surrender.
Both good. The important thing is I'm meeting new people.
Bourgeois, now what's your mission? Are you planning to make some kind of alien-human hybrid?
Are you coming on to me?
Hot crackers, I take exception to that.
I'm not hearing a no.
So you find Elvis. It's fun. You just push him around on his little table for a little bit. You're going to escape Area 51 after Elvis wakes up. I think, again, it's all blurring together. But we're in Area 51. We meet up. I think you meet up with one of your other agents in there. You find Elvis. He wakes up. He's got an American accent and can talk like Yoda, I guess. And it's got a cool part with a gas room you got to escape. So they're still adding more fun to it. But when you go to escape, you can hop on a vehicle if you want. A land speeder jet ski looking thing. But I like the addition of vehicles in this game. Next up, we got some snow levels at an air base. You get a disguise. So again, they're bringing the spy stuff while still being a weird kind of sci-fi game. I appreciate the snow levels. It's bringing real Goldeneye vibes. I like the snow level in Goldeneye. It's just big. There's a lot of tight corridor levels here, but then they give you some of those big world levels too. But it's time to go save the president. We got to get on Air Force One, which is a great level. And like I said, it was designed from that movie. But this is where you can tell they're doing that, designing it how it should be, making rooms that don't do anything for the game, but it's still, there would be bathrooms and airplanes. So it's a fun level to just kind of explore and get lost on that one. What happens there, you've got to get the president into like a safe escape pod thing. Then Elvis swings up, saves the day, tries to save you, but then you crash anyway, apparently. So the next level, you're on a big crash site thing, between Air Force One and the Mayan ships and the Skadar ships that were all coming to try and take the president there. So you crash. It's another snow level. You've got a clone of the president now. He's in the mix. We got clones. Mr. Blonde reveals himself to be a big, mean alien guy.
You son of a bitch.
He kills Trent, the NSA guy who was trying to get What's-Her-Face to join I'm telling you, it's all over the place, but hopefully you guys go play this and experience. Spoilers be damned. It's fine. Go play the game and see how much of this I forgot about. But we're going to go on to the Pelagic 2. It's a big underground research water submarine type thing, I guess. We got high seas piracy going on here. It's the ship's got multiple decks. You got armed crewmen. This is the one, I believe. Yes, this level has the Mario cameo, which I'll mention later in the trivia. But it's got Shigeru Miyamoto. They put his face on a guy, slapped some red overalls on him, just like Mario, and he's in this level. Also, the level, I didn't mention this weapon. This is the level where you get a weapon called the N-Bomb, which sounds like something that if I said would get my podcast canceled. But it makes it gives you like the tranquilizer kind of effect. And you've got the real green alien ship vibes in this whole level, fluorescent kind of neon type of stuff as you get into the real big spaceship that's underneath this big vessel that you're looking at. So it keeps going. But we got Elvis. He joins the fight. He's wandering around like a child. Put a bell on him or something. So you make it through that. You're in an actual spaceship that's been on Earth underwater for centuries or something like that. But it's you beat it and you think you're done. It's like you got Elvis safe. He did his thing, sabotage stuff. You got the weapon off of the thing or something. So everyone's celebrating back at Carrington Institute. Feels like the game might be over. It's not, which is cool. So the hub, Carrington Institute, is now a level. The aliens are there to take over. It's like you were about to go to a party. So now Joanna's got to fight in her cocktail dress. You got to save the hostages. Don't shoot the hostages like I did way too many times. But you're fighting aliens in the actual Carrington Institute. On to our last two levels here. The main attack ship. You end up a prisoner with that Cassandra lady. You got to go save Dr. Carroll, who turned evil or something. And eventually, you're going to get to the end of this game, the end of the campaign. We're on another planet. It's like the actual Skadar ruins, a battle shrine. And Elvis thinks we need to take this out, and then maybe they'll stop messing with the Mayans. The Skadar and the Mayans have had an ancient alien war going on that we're in the middle of now. I don't know what's happening. I'm just shooting aliens. You got the final battle. You got Queen Mother Alien. This level is feeling a lot like Turok because you're getting like dinosaur screams. And they're very dinosaur looking. The main boss, the queen or king or whatever you want, she's got a big old shield. She's spawning enemies, but Elvis comes. Eventually you beat her. The whole thing piles down on you, but Elvis comes to save you. And you and Elvis, you just walk off into the sunset together. Okay, all right, campaign out of the way. That's not where it's at. I want to talk about the real star. I want to talk about that multiplayer. I wonder what else I've missed in the campaign there. The campaign was fun. Like I said, it was a whole nother game. I only played it through on Agent, the easiest one, just to blow through. I wish I had time to go play, because it really is. It's like Baby's Perfect Dark playing on Agent mode. Once you know what you're supposed to do in these campaigns and these missions, I bet it's a lot quicker. This game has a huge speed running following, which I appreciate. But going in blind-ish and just trying to find these missions, it's very vague, but I don't say it as a complaint besides me always being out of time or not enough time to do stuff. I say it as like it's good. I want games to feel like that. And you can kind of tell what you're supposed to click on, kind of tell where things are supposed to open or not. There is a lot of maybe this does something. I did something out of order. I shot something I wasn't supposed to. Abort, fail, fail, all that stuff. But I still had a good time. But let's talk about the multiplayer, and I mean the simulants. Like I said, playing multiplayer as a solo player, you could upload some of these sims, and it could be a good time. You had your meat sims. Those are the easiest and the least intelligent. Just a perfect choice for a beginner. They're slow. They have no accuracy. They are just there to take the bullets. Just like the easy sim, just a step above that. Casual and fun battle, maybe. You got your normal sim, kind of an average player. But then we're on to the hard sims, and hard sims are just that. They are hard. They move around quickly. They have higher accuracy. They can pick you off from a distance. They'll snipe you. And if you get a group of them, they'll work together. So watch out there. Then you got the perfect sims. They're the ultimate opponents. They move around at high speed. They can accurately hit you even while running backwards away from you. Use these guys if you're an expert, but prepare to get beat often. Use those lower sims if you need to work your way up. But now we'll start to get crazy. We got the dark sim.
You son of a bitch.
They are practically unbeatable. They're not human, but they're robots. They run around at high speed. They can climb ladders super fast. They have insane accuracy. They almost feels like they're shooting you through walls like that XR gun. Most players probably don't want to use them. I hear they're just very frustrating, but throw one on your team. Now you got one with you, and you can just order the dark sim to protect you. And now he's just your little bodyguard. You won't even have to press fire. Let's talk about some of these special ones here. Some of the special simulants. We got the peace sim.
I bet my walkies.
They protest the use of weapons and will only try to disarm you if you get too close, but they will more than often just run away from you, and they will just try to grab up weapons and ammos before you can get them. The advantage there, if you blast them, they're going to usually drop a whole big pile of weapons for you. They don't put up a fight at all. You got the shield sims. Those are what you think they would. They always have full shield protection. Even if they lose the smallest bit, they're going to run off and find a new one, so they're always going for those shields. They can run backwards and fire at you. If there aren't any shields, they're going to start out with one. But if they can't find any, then it's too bad for them. One of my favorites is the rocket sim. It's the sim that prefers to use any type of explosive weapon. It's obsessed with blowing things up, even if that means blowing itself away in the process. It'll use all weapons, but its priority is explosives, and it'll also tend to just walk straight through explosions, like thinking it can survive them, like when you're in a movie and you walk away from an explosion and it's blowing up behind you, except these guys are walking right into it, apparently. Next up, the Kazi sim. They're just going to ruthlessly hunt down a target and stop at nothing until that target is defeated. They'll fire explosives even if they'll put an explosive on themselves and run right to you, so watch out. We got the fist sims. They're going to try to punch you and disarm you repeatedly. They won't use any other weapons, just like it sounds. Prey sim's fun. They'll only attack players who have low health. You got the coward sim. They will just run away from you. Just run and hide. The judge sim, that does the opposite of what the prey sim does. It will only attack the winning player. And then the feud sim's fun. It'll pick a target at the start of the game and just attack them for the whole game, no matter what. It'll fire on other players, but mainly they're just going to take them down. We got the speed sim, like it sounds, runs pretty fast. The turtle sim runs slower, but like a turtle, has a big old shield, got a big shell around him. And then we've got the venge sim.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
That one's fun. It'll always attack the last player who took him down. He is out for vengeance, that sim. And, of course, with the multiplayer, you got classic GoldenEye maps and weapons. I am so partial to the complex and the facility and how much fun it is in multiplayer, setting up laptop sentries, setting up mines. That's how I roll with my multiplayer. We'll keep talking about it, but we're going to get into some cheats and codes.
It's a secret.
Shut up.
Hidden within every level of the game is a small piece of yellow cheese. Rare originally hid them with the intention of awarding the player new cheats for locating each piece, but the final game ended up awarding cheats for things like time requirements instead. Consequently, the developers left the cheese in the game for fun. You cannot pick up any of the cheese. They're simply there for looks. Unlike our good friend Homer.
64 slices of American cheese. 64. 63. 2. 1.
Have you been up all night eating cheese?
I think I'm blind.
That makes me think of the movie Fight Club, because that movie has a hidden Starbucks cup in every shot, apparently. That's a trivia nugget, more in line with last week's Streets of Rage episode, I think. Some of the cheats you can get, you got the DK mode. That's classic, because Rare and Donkey Kong go together so well. That's all the characters have big heads and long arms. You got Small Joe. That makes Joanna smaller than a Mayan. In the cutscenes, she'll just float in midair. And then you got codes you can play as Elvis, where Joanna's replaced with Elvis. We got slow-mo single player. You got classics like Invincible, Cloaking Device. But some of the fun ones, besides your unlimited ammo, your all guns, your classic guns, all those, we've got enemy rockets. This is my favorite cheat in the game, probably. It replaces the weapons of armed enemies and allies with rocket launchers. Characters dual-wielding weapons are now dual-wielding rocket launchers. It also affects armed enemies in cutscenes. However, Joanna herself cannot dual-wield rocket launchers, but it is just madness. Chaos, craziness, what I want in a game. That's fun to me. We got the Perfect Darkness cheat. The map is pitch black. Joanna is provided with night vision. It's a Psychosis gun, where Joanna starts with the Psychosis gun, which makes enemy AI characters turn against their teammates for fun. You got Trent's Magnum, where Joanna starts with the DY357LX, which can kill any enemy in one shot. It is the game's equivalent to GoldenEye's Golden Gun, and ironically, based on the weapon's original depiction from early James Bond series. We got Hurricane Fists, where unarmed attacks are 3 times faster, and again, all your classics, and then tons more. You can unlock new co-op partners. It is just more and more and more. Let's talk about some trivia. Cut from the game was a feature that allowed players to place a photograph onto the face of their own multiplayer character. This is before Mii's and what all the other stuff Nintendo's doing. So the photos would have been taken by that glorious Game Boy camera and directly transferred to the game via that 64 transfer pack. Then you could crop them, manipulate them with an in-game editor, and map it right onto that polygonal head of a multiplayer character. Although originally stated that the feature was removed due to tech difficulties, the actual reason was revealed to be sensitive issues surrounding the ability for players to put any image of any person on there and attack them, I guess. When in doubt, let's get that Game Boy camera in the mix. But like in GoldenEye 007, the randomly generated faces of soldiers and some of the characters are actually the faces of Rareware staff, even a few from Nintendo. Like I mentioned earlier, legendary video game designer and longtime Nintendo employee Shigeru Miyamoto can be seen as a cameo in the intro cutscene of that mission on the underwater base there. You can also access his head in the combat simulator, access those faces. I believe Joanna Dark's, her face is a picture of Winona Ryder. I saw that somewhere. Just slap a Winona Ryder. Now we've got Joanna Dark. Like in GoldenEye, the sky graphics and all of the combat simulators maps and a few of the outdoor ones are reused from Killer Instinct. So there's a little tidbit for you there. And despite being critically acclaimed and widely considered to be superior over its iconic predecessor, Perfect Dark sold only 2.5 million copies in its original release. This is due to the game itself. Like I said, being released late in the 64's lifespan, it ranks the 20th best-selling game for the console.
You're killing me, Smalls.
GoldenEye, in comparison, had 8 million sold and is the 3rd best-selling title for the 64. For the legacy of Perfect Dark, shortly after it was released, Rare planned to develop a sister title called Velvet Dark for either the 64 or the GameCube that was coming up, but the project never moved beyond pre-production and was ultimately abandoned. And of course, we know Microsoft's going to buy Rare. The name Velvet Dark references Joanna Dark's alleged sister in the co-op mode, who would have been the new game's protagonist. Meanwhile, Free Radical Design, that is the team of people that left Rare halfway through this game, made their own company, and then they released Time Splitters for the PS2 in October, which is a first-person shooter, heavily influenced, I think. It's a new engine, but definitely got that 007 love in it. Time Splitters bears several gameplay similarities to both of those games. Similar aiming system, unlockable options, but after Rare was purchased by Microsoft in 2002, the company released the prequel, Perfect Dark Zero, as a launch title for the 360. A buddy of mine from work, thank you, Zach, gave me a copy of that. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. It says generally positive reviews from critics, but it seems like the internet and a lot of publications do not like this sequel. It's a prequel in this case, but Perfect Dark hasn't been much since its iconic 64 launch. Since Perfect Dark on the 64's release, the game has attracted a following of elite players who constantly try to speedrun its levels and break those world records. Those records are managed by their own website of highly skilled players exploiting all those tiny gameplay inconsistencies. I love those exploits. The game, it's occasionally cited as one of the greatest video games of all time. In 2007, IGN placed the game at number 86 on their list of top 100 games of all time. They said, quote, everything that Goldeneye made great, Perfect Dark did too, and then some. Perfect Dark. I'm saying words. I'm bad with words today. But a remaster of the game, also titled Perfect Dark, was released in 2010 on Xbox 360. Then, in 2020, a reboot was announced, only to be canceled 5 years later. Never hear anything about it. But in 2022, a fan took decompiled the actual original ROM images into C source code. I don't know what any of that means, but the game is ported unofficially to the PC, and a lot of people online, that's their go-to now. That's how it should be played. I was playing it on my 64. It's rough, but go play the Switch online version if you have access to that. A lot of people were saying that was like a crappy port, but I like it. It runs good. I can actually see things. You know, it doesn't have that quality, that 64 fuzz and that slowdown that came with the game originally, but it's out there. But go check out a port if you want to see what these guys really wanted the game to look like when it wasn't running at like 3 frames a second. That's the wrap up for this. We're going to get into some comments. We're going to get into some awards. Let's see what the internet has to say about Perfect Dark.
Aren't you a little old for video games?
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
What do all the things that you want to do?
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
I've lived in mortal terror that this would happen.
Get on with the ceremony.
So I made a Facebook post and I asked your opinions on Perfect Dark 2. It did everything Goldeneye did, but better. Well, Goldeneye may have had better pause music. That's my post. And like I said, a lot of Perfect Dark love coming. I had a few haters or two. And when it comes to, we're talking subjectively, if you like the game better or not is one thing, but objectively, I fight that Perfect Dark is a better game than Goldeneye. Like every aspect of it. Not to say I don't love, but someone was like arguing with me that Goldeneye is a better game because it sold more. And I'm like, that logic is kind of weird. It's like saying Mario 1's a better game than Mario 3 because it sold more copies. Granted, that was a pack-in. But you get what I'm saying? I'm like, it's a sequel. They didn't steal from Goldeneye. I'm not even sure he understood that Goldeneye and Perfect Dark were the same, made by the same companies. That's why I don't argue on the internet. I just say a funny joke, and we can just play games and move on. So these are all real people I was talking to. First names only. We got Todd. He says, I beat Perfect Dark a couple months ago. It's in no way better than Goldeneye for me. I even like 007, The World Is Not Enough better. I never played that game. That's a hot take, but you said it's in no way better than Goldeneye for me. So you're a smart person who understands that opinions are subjective. Sorry if there's a little skank in my voice. These people on the internet, some of these guys are just like, why? What are you accomplishing winning arguments on the internet? We got Christopher here. He says, probably my second favorite shooter on the 64, right behind Turok. I actually played Perfect Dark for the first time ever in late 2010 with a buddy of mine. We had so much fun with the game. I was much more hooked on the game than Goldeneye. And I was chatting with him, telling him I just think it's cool that you discover this game 10 years later than it was released and it still hooked you. Nicholas here says, it's an incredible game, but has big problems. Number 1, FPS too slow. You play in slow motion. Number 2, many goals are very complicated to achieve. Number 3, some missions are too long and require you to go around in circles a lot. These 3 things make the game very dense and you get tired of it and don't want to play it again. Whereas in Goldeneye, you can return to it frequently because it's a faster game without so many twists and turns. So end of your comment. I'm trying to throw in the criticism too, so we can discuss these kind of things. You like Goldeneye better, and that's fine. I like Goldeneye missions. It's a bit, maybe just because I played it 100 times. I know all the Goldeneye's campaigns. I disagree that you return to Goldeneye. I guess it's just a matter if you prefer that story. I guess you don't seem to be into the sci-fi aspect of it. Once you do understand the missions, whether or not you like to go back and replay them, I guess becomes the issue. Tim here says, I'd have to say even the soundtrack was better. It was this whole vibe with Perfect Dark. The music is so good, I bought the physical CD. Both games were done by the same team, so you can't say one game copied the other. Rather, this was an improvement off the same formula. Caesar says it was the best shooter game on the N64. The levels are perfect. Love the Hacienda level. Makes you feel like you're in a cartel safe house. The presidential plane feels like a movie, and then the last level is on another planet. Man, it's so good. I wish the sequel wasn't trash. So there's already some of that Perfect Dark Xbox hate going on there too. Mike says, I'm trying to think of a proper way to say this. It's like the meme of the guy holding hands with a Goldeneye girlfriend while he's looking back at Perfect Dark. You know, the boyfriend meme. And I liked his comment, so I went and made him that meme, shared it with him. He appreciated it, and I reposted that. The real kicker on that meme I made, besides smacking Goldeneye and Perfect Dark on the two girls' heads, is I made Homeboy hold a N64 controller in the proper color of green. So that's the real argument. What's the best color of N64 controller? Neil says Perfect Dark has better multiplayer. Goldeneye has better levels. So here, at least you're getting a little detailed with your criticism there. Perfect Dark has better multiplayer. Goldeneye is better single player. And I'm a nut for the sci-fi kind of stuff. I'm not big into I like spy stuff. I like Goldeneye, but take Goldeneye and add weird science fiction. I'm going to like that more, probably 100 times out of 100. Michael says, Perfect Dark suffered from a few major problems that held it back from greatness. Number 1, it was released too late, both too many years after Goldeneye and too close to the Xbox and Halo release. Number 2, the license issues prevented it from being a Goldeneye sequel, so on release, it looked like a Goldeneye knockoff without the real story or characters. It had technical improvements and pushed the 64 to a limit, but just not enough for the fast-moving game market at the time. I have some notes to add to that as well. It was, after Goldeneye, after everybody had that first-person shooter of their life, nothing's going to really top those. It's going to be more of the same. That was the first of the first. Like Mario 64, the first 3D platformer, first mainstream. So again, I don't think it has anything to do, I guess, the Goldeneye thing. If the Perfect Dark was just called Goldeneye 2, it probably would have had more sales. So I can see where that is, name recognition. Daniel says, Perfect Dark was the better game. That's almost non-negotiable, unless it's a personal preference. That being said, GoldenEye 007 was by far the more iconic game. That's the same kind of feeling I get. GoldenEye is iconic. Perfect Dark is just better technologically wise. Kieran says, I always played versus all the Sims. All aliens with Elvis as the leader, and I always had one of them as a pugilist or a pacifist, so he'd charge at me and punch the weapons out of my hands, train me to be faster and more accurate. I like that. You were using Combat Simulator to train yourself for missions or multiplayer down the road. You'd have one. I like the setup. You had one coming at you that would just try to disarm you. I think that's pretty fun. Finally, Dustin comes in to add his input to the Perfect Dark debate. He says, I never played this back in the day. I do think World Is Not Enough was better than Goldeneye. I went back and tried to play Goldeneye again, and the controls feel terrible. And that was his comment. I don't know. You're throwing me off just by saying The World Is Not Enough was better than Goldeneye. I'm not sure. I didn't play it. What's the other one? Tomorrow Never Dies? I don't know. It was Goldeneye, Perfect Dark, and I don't care about anything else. I don't even know if I meant it before. The Wilhelm scream, that thing you guys keep hearing me click. Here, let's get a little trivia on that real quick. That, besides it, I pulled that because it just reminds me of these guys screaming as I'm shooting them in this game constantly. The Wilhelm scream is from like 1950s. It was like an Easter egg for movies. They would use it. It was a stock footage, stock sounds. You could use it in anything. It was used in every Star Wars movie, every Indiana Jones movie. It's like just once. And there'll be this random, in that case, it was the Stormtrooper from the, and so it became like an inside joke for sound people in movies. And just like all kind of inside jokes, once the world became aware of it, it kind of wasn't that cool anymore. So I don't know if the Wilhelm screams making it into things like it used to. But those are all those comments. It's time for me to open up this chest and let's give Perfect Dark some of my awards. All right, we got award number 1, the Sword of 1,000 Truths Award. I tried to pick the most badass weapon, and it's like trying to rank my own children. Or in this, it's like, here, do I rank by one player or multiplayer? Do I rank by the main weapon or the secondary? Do I rank by the reload animations? So I ended up just picking a bunch of weapons to talk about. First place, I don't know, just basic, awesome weapon. It's probably the Farsight XR20. You gotta send love to that OP 10 out of 10 alien weapon. The animations are great. You're zooming in through those walls. It's a long, so that's, if that's the main or the second main first player weapon, that's a long stretch from my favorite multiplayer weapon, the proximity mine, because I am an agent of chaos. I don't need to see my kills. I just need to hear that explosion from a distance. It's a lot of nostalgia here because I loved it in GoldenEye. Give me some proximity mines. Give me the complex or the facility. My favorite secondary, it's going to be the Slayer with that fly-by-wire rocket for multiplayer. That was just chasing your friends down hallways. And then, of course, the laptop gun sentry. There's just so many choices to these weapons. My favorite reload is going to be the Cyclone. You're just a full magazine. It's just like just slides right through. Shout out to the alien orb reloads and the dual wielding clip drops like Neo from the Matrix. Just and just anyway. We're just going to clap for all the weapons. Let's clap for violence. Award number 2, this tape will self-destruct award. My favorite mission to play or part of a mission, level of a mission, Area 51. I love everything about it. It's this generic Area 51. It's just exactly how I always pictured it. X-Files, Independence Day, that Futurama episode, tons of pop culture love. It's not bad for an escort mission, pushing Elvis around either. Area 51, I want to believe. Number 2, the DataDyne Center. That's the big city, the big skyscraper tower thing. Feels like Die Hard running around that building. Hopefully Joanna's wearing shoes. You got tons of glass to shoot at, furniture everywhere to blow up, elevators, stairwells. You got the rooftop to the basement, the windows to the wall. I like that level. But the winner for me, it's going to be Air Force One. Just another level that feels like a movie, in this case, Executive Decision, which is a good movie. Kurt Russell, Steven Seagal dies in like the first 5 minutes. Move over, President Harrison Ford. This level, it gives me that ship level vibes from GoldenEye, and I really like that level from that game. You can sneak around, or you can go full John Wick in this level. Whatever you do, though, just put the bunny back in the box. That's a Con Air reference. I'm just full of them today. Award number 3, the No Odd Job Award. Just fun memories. I'm going to try to plant my flag, but I'm not, because I'm just going to call out a bunch of stuff. Shout out to the blood splatter, the lighting effects, and it may seem dumb now, but shooting those glass bottles, this evolution of shooters, I remember my mind just being blown in GoldenEye when you can shoot holes in the wall, or you shoot the wall and the holes appear, or shooting out the cameras in GoldenEye. Just small little stuff like that evolves eventually. The enemies. And I'm not even talking about the amazing AI sims. I'm talking about the world they build with their NPCs. These guys emote like crazy. Their guns jam. You can shoot the guns out of their hands. They're constant screaming, constantly begging for their life. And I like, it's just so dramatic. These guards, they are just so dramatic. But it's my favorite thing. I guess it's my favorite theme. My favorite thing about this game. It's just up in that spy game. Based on missions I looked at but didn't play because I didn't have time. You got some crazy spy missions. You got all your transforming weapons. You've got the use of disguises, hijacking cars, and just gadgets and gadgets. Your spy cam, your cloaking device, your laptop gun. It's a game that can go from spy sneaking action to just feeling like a Doom or a Duke Nukem, like real quick. So we're going to rate this thing, see if it rules, if it's a rental, if it should be retired. Is Perfect Dark still a perfect game, or should Joanna and Elvis just hang up the guns and go retire, open up a fruit stand maybe, go with all that cheese they're selling? Oh, let's rate this thing. There's 43 total weapons in the game, so we'll go out of 43. We got gameplay, visuals, music and sound, and awesomeness. Gameplay, we'll go a 38 because it's frame rate this, frame rate that. It's like the biggest complaint is a tech issue, and this 64 is chugging up the hill to try to run this game. Aside from that, everything is just kicked up a notch here. It hits all the marks, literally. The gunplay, it needs to feel fun. It's a 10 out of 10. The firing, the reloads, the dual wield and the secondary weapons, the multiplayer, the sims, the extra missions, the cheats and codes galore. Perfect Dark is just feeling like perfection. Visuals, we'll do a 40. Something special about that N64 color palette. And they made so many different themes for the levels. And as dated as the character models are and all their polygonal glory, it's just so unique to those 64 days. It's like you see it and you know that's GoldenEye screenshot or something, you know. The reload animations are incredible. The new lighting looks great. It's just the damn aesthetic of everything I love. The Chicago level, the skyscraper are levels that stand out just for making you feel like you're in the story, like you're in the moment. Check out that PC port if you really want to see what the designers wanted this game to look like, or that Switch Online one. Music and sound, we're going to do a 41. It's better than GoldenEye. Shout out to the cinematics and that beat kicking in right when it zooms into that first-person view. Got all the classic GoldenEye sound effects, but more cheesy dialogue with hilarious voice acting. Joanna's voice work is top-notch. And, of course, Elvis, who sounds like Yoda if Yoda had a mouth full of marbles.
I said, seagulls, stop it now.
Some of those reload animations, they have some top-notch sound effects there as well. Awesomeness, 43 out of 43. Nobody cared that this wasn't a 007 game. Just give us good games, and the word of mouth at school is going to sell these games. So many firsts for me in this game. First time with secondary weapons. First time seeing blood splatter onto the wall. First time X-ray shooting through the walls. Endless nights of play with friends or solo with the Sims. GoldenEye, you're way more iconic, but Perfect Dark was just way more awesomer. Let's add it up. Perfect Dark is earning itself a high rank this week. You always expect better out of a sequel, but I don't think I've covered a game yet that has done so much to every aspect of the original, to the point that the biggest flaw in the game is that it can't run well enough to show you everything these artists made to begin with, the proper way they want you to. I've got hundreds of hours on this game back in those coveted couch co-op days, memories I cherish, new memories I've made with my kids. I'll always remember Nintendo and Rare. They were a dream team. And when it comes to Joanna, Elvis, and Perfect Dark on the 64, that game rules. Mission accomplished. All right, agents, we saved the president, I think. Prevented an alien invasion, maybe, and even broke down the barriers of human and alien relations. I don't know. It's going to be a long debriefing back at HQ. It's time to get out of here before this podcast self-destructs. Thanks so much for listening to this week's show, giving this guy a chance. On my way to 100 episodes, I'm trying. I love talking to 64. It's such a special system for me. It's like we went through puberty together. We got more games to check out. Hit me up at thatgamerules@gmail.com. We got more retro nonsense as we continue to waste time together. So until next time, don't get caught up in any alien conspiracies. Keep that laptop gun charged up. And at least, if you're going to leave cheese out, at least wrap it up if you're going to leave it out at room temperature. Until next time, stay safe. I will see everybody on the next one.